become absolutely still in the self. How? Yoga sevaya, by the regular practice of yoga, by the regular practice of meditation, slowly and steadily the mind becomes still in the self. See, the mind is made up of habit. So we have to, even after knowing that the self is the very source of happiness, the mind out of habit may go here and there. Because for countless lifetime, the mind has been going out in the world of objects. It is the habit of our mind. We can't help it. It is a long, habit from many lifetimes. So in order to make the mind still, we have to develop the other habit of bringing the mind again and again in the thoughts of the self and making it absorbed in the self. So when a person does this sadhana for a long time, yoga sevaya, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Rishi talks about this abhyas. He says, Sadirghakala nairantaryena satkara sevita dhudabhumihi. That abhyas means the practice of meditation one should do nairantaryena, without a gap, without chutti, without taking vacation, regularly, without antara. Because if we take a gap, then again we will have to start from behind. It should be continuous. Even those who are singers and all, they have to do that practice regularly. Even for a few, somebody once, a great singer, mentioned that if she does that practice regularly, she can sing. If she doesn't practice even for a day, and if she sings, she realizes her mistake as she is singing. And she says if she doesn't sing for 2-3 days, others also realize. So it requires regular practice. Otherwise, the mind again goes. So, nairantaryena satkara sevita, with lot of reverence, we have to do this sadhana with proper respect to the sadhana. See, many times what happens, if there is some other work and all, the first thing we drop is meditation. So that should not be done. One should have great reverence. So, nairantaryena satkara sevita, and one more thing I forgot now. Dirghakala. Dirghakal means for a long time, not 1 or 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. It may take longer time. So when we do this sadhana in this way, then the mind gets absorbed in the self. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Then what happens? Yatra cha eva atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. This mind gets absolutely content and satisfied in our own self. One seeing the self, pashyan, seeing, atmanam, the self, where? Atmani, in the self. By what? Atmana, by the self, one becomes absolutely content. When the mind is absorbed in the self, here self, I am not saying the ego. Self is not the body. Self is not the mind. Self, we have to understand what it is by studying the 2nd chapter. So when the mind gets absolutely absorbed in the self, then the self sees itself in itself, and seeing itself in itself, one experiences great satisfaction, great joy. Atmani tushyati. Like in the 2nd chapter, we have seen the characteristic of a sthita prajna. कि प्रजाहाति यदा कामान सर्वान पार्थ मनोगतान आत्मन्नेवात्मना तुष्टः स्थित प्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते. Sthita prajna is one who is free from all desires and one who is satisfied in his own self by his own self. Same is revealed here, that when the mind becomes still in the self, one gains joy from within. No need for anything, imagining anything or taking support of anything else. There is the joy of the self alone is experienced. See, how do we know that self is of the nature of supreme bliss? See, one experiences this bliss to a certain extent in deep sleep state. When we are in dreamless sleep, without any object, without attaining anything, without going anywhere, without indulging in any objects or pleasures and all, we experience peace, we experience bliss. From where it has come? It is of our own self. It is unconditional. A young person, an elderly person, a boy, a girl, or rich, or poor, anyone who goes to deep sleep state experiences that bliss. One is not aware at that time. When we wake up, we remember, because it was revealed by that self. One remembers later on, but everyone experiences that bliss. From where it has come? It is my very nature. It doesn't require anything else. It's like the sun doesn't require any other light, but the moon requires the light of the sun. Atma doesn't require any other object to become happy. It is of the nature of happiness itself. So yatra cha eva atmana atmanam atmani pashyan tushyati. So this is a state where the self, in the self, by the self, experiences supreme joy, and the mind has got absorbed in that self. Once Bhagwan Ramakrishna Paramhamsa asked a question to Swami Vivekananda, that just imagine one bowl is there with amrit, and one ant is on the rim of that bowl, and the ant wants to drink. How will it drink? So Swami Vivekananda said that it will remain on that rim and try to very carefully drink it. He said, why so carefully? He said, no, if it falls into it, it might die. He said, it is made up of amrit. You can't die. So there is fear. So one may have fear in the initial stages, but mind, when it gets absorbed in this self, it is full of bliss and full of peace only. Peace that passeth all understanding. So what type of happiness one experiences there in that self, in our own self, that is said now in the next verse. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tatvatah sukham atyantikam yattad. In that state of samadhi, one experiences sukham, that bliss of the self, which is unconditional. See, the joy or the pleasure we experience in the world when our senses come in contact with the objects, that joy or that pleasure has got an opposite. pain. Nahin? The pleasure, and it is part of dvandva. So pleasure and pain go together. But this sukha doesn't have any opposite. This sukha is unconditional. It is atyantikam. Atyantikam means it is endless. The joy of the self is endless. It is not that I am happy because of gaining something, but I am happiness. See, when I take a sugar and eat it, I say that, oh, sugar is sweet. I experience sweetness. But suppose you become sugar, what will be your condition? You yourself become that sweetness. Similarly, in this world, we experience that sukha of the self indirectly. Therefore, we say, I am happy. The next day I say, I am unhappy. So I remain different and that happiness remain different as though. But in that state of samadhi, one becomes one with that happiness. It is not I am happy, but I am happiness itself. So sukham atyantikam, where there is no limitation in this sukha. In the 17th chapter, Bhagavan talks about tamasic sukha, rajasic sukha, sattvic sukha. But here what we are talking about is atyantikam sukham, I think in the 18th chapter. The sukha which is beyond all these gunas also. So sukham atyantikam yattat, and in that state of samadhi, this sukha is experienced not by the senses, but by the buddhi, which has become absolutely pure. Buddhi grahyam atindriyam. The buddhi which has become absolutely pure, as though helps or experiences this sukha, which is beyond the senses, which is not of the senses. In that stillness and the quietude and purity of the intellect, the happiness is experienced. Buddhi grahyam atindriyam. It's like a person who is feeling very sleepy and get a glimpse of that sleep, get a joy, glimpse of that when we feel a little pravachan also sometimes it happens. So we get a glimpse and we come out. Similarly, when the mind, intellect becomes absolutely pure, one gets that experience of that happiness. So buddhi grahyam, it is caught by the intellect. Atindriyam, beyond the senses. It is not the product of the senses coming in contact with some object. It is of the nature of the self itself. Just like the sun, the bright light of the sun gets reflected in the waters, but when the water is dirty, the reflection is not clear. But when the water becomes absolutely pure and clean and steady, the reflection is so beautiful that one cannot differentiate between the actual sun and the reflection. The pure water as though catches that sun. Similarly here, the pure intellect as though catches the joy of the self. Buddhi grahyam atindriyam. See, later on, when the person still goes further in his path, when he gets absorbed in that state of turiya, the buddhi also dissolves. Then you can't talk anything about it. But here, the person who has reached that state of turiya and who also then comes back into the waking state, such a person is called a Jivan Mukta. Such a Jivan Mukta Purush, one who is liberated while living, experiences that supreme joy with his supremely purified intellect. So, yattad buddhi grahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitas chalati tattvataha. And one who experiences, when the yogi experiences this joy, then his mind or his intellect doesn't move away from this state. It gets absorbed in this state. He remains steady in his experience of that self. He doesn't move. Stitaha na chalati tattvataha. He doesn't get disturbed from his state of realization. See, one may have to put forth effort in the path of this meditation till one experiences this joy. Once one experiences this joy, then it becomes effortless, because then automatically the mind will run there. Now the mind is running somewhere else. You have to keep on catching the mind and bringing it. In a very beautiful way, it's in Bhagavad and all, it is said like Krishna is that Atma and the gopis are like the mind, but they are totally attracted toward then Krishna. Then they can't think of anything else. Their mind goes only in Krishna automatically. Similarly, the mind who has tasted this supreme joy will not run after any other joy. Otherwise, we have great attraction for the tamasic sukha or rajasic sukha or sattvic sukha. But this is sukha which is atyantikam, which is beyond these gunas and which is supreme. So, vetti yatra na chaivayam stitas chalati tattvataha. One who has attained this state of happiness, bliss, will not move from that state, will become steady. He will not become vichalit, disturbed from this state. One more, Bhagavan says, the greatness of this state of realization. Yam labdhva cha param labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate yam labdhva cha param labham manyate nadikam tataha. Yam labdhva, having attained this state of realization, having attained this turiya avastha, having attained this samadhi avastha, a person who has attained it, he will not think that there is anything greater than this. Yam labdhva cha aparam labham manyate na adhikam tataha. Will understand, will realize that this is the ultimate. This is the final. One comes to know that there is nothing further than this. One has reached, one has attained. See, like a circle, when you go away from the center, there are millions of points where you can go. Millions of points. You can go any point. It will be pointless to remain at one point. So you can travel all over. But suppose a person decides to go to the center. He will move toward the center, and when he reaches the center, he will know that there is no other place to go now. He has reached. It is one point. The center is one point. Circumference are millions of points. There are millions of points. Atma is the one point. World, when we go towards the world, There are millions and millions of things are there, objects are there. Therefore, a person who attains something in the world always feel that there is something else is remaining. Never feel satisfied. It is not possible. Therefore, we are coming again and again in this world to experience more and more, to fulfill our desires. We come with certain desires, then we collect some more desires on the way. Then again we come. Because there is endless. Every object by name and by form are different. But if we go to the essence, it is one. If one who is interested in the essence will reach the ultimate goal. But one who is not interested in the essence will be roaming in this samsara for endless lifetimes. So here, one who has reached that self knows. There is no pramana, there is no other proof required for that person. Say, for to know something other than me, some proof might be required. But here, when he reaches that state of self-realization, he knows that this is the ultimate, this is the final. There is no more going anywhere else. See, it is not that later on when science will discover something more, this thing will change. Things about the world may change. Our concept of the world may keep changing. It is possible. Science is constantly growing because it's trying to understand the secret of this world. And ultimately, science will also have to reach this point of the self. And it is reaching actually, if you go into subtler science like quantum mechanics and all, they have started understanding the influence of the subject on the object. That what you see depends on who is seeing. The seer changes the structure of what is seen. A subtler science is slowly understanding the role of the seer in the scene. In the good old days, science used to think that the objects are totally separate. It can be understood objectively. But now science has understood that without disregarding the subject, object cannot be understood completely. You have to involve the subject. And when you go deeper and ultimately understand that subject, that I, all the secrets of the world will get revealed. So here it is said, one who has attained this self-realization or attained this state of samadhi, having attained this, he knows and he understands that there is nothing greater than this. Yam labdva, having attained this, cha aparam labham manyate na adhikam tataha, doesn't think that there is greater gain anywhere else. He has reached that central point. Moving away from it is like going away only from it. Moving little bit, like if you have reached the center of a circle, even one point if you shift, you are no longer in the center. You have to come back to that point only. There is only one point which is the center. And there are millions of points which are off center. So yam labdva cha param labham manyate nadikam tataha. And another great thing about this is yasmin stito, one who is established in this self, one who has experienced the state of samadhi, na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. Such a person will not get disturbed even with the greatest of sorrow. Even if the greatest of possibility of sorrow or the situation which can give sorrow to others can happen, this person who is established in his samadhi is not disturbed at all. And this we have seen in the life of so many great Mahatmas in our own country. Even in the face of death, they remained free from all disturbance. No disturbance. No fear. because they are absorbed in that self which is indestructible. Fear is there if one thinks that I am the body. Fear is there if I think that world is there and it's very much real and will cause me sorrow and pain. But such a person who has recognized the self becomes free of all fears. So yam labdhva cha aparam labham manyate nadikam tataha yasmin stitona dukkhena guruna api. Guruna means very heavy, very what you call very bhari. Guru means bhari, very heavy. Heavy sorrows also will not disturb this, vichalyate will not disturb this person. Remain absolutely at ease. And this is our, see, we are living in this world, we are so much absorbed, it's just like a dream. The real, our state and real self is something else, somewhere else. It's like a person dreaming and gets attached to their dream. There are some people who get so much attached to their dream, they again want to go to sleep and go to that same dream. Sometimes it doesn't come. Some people get attached to their dream. They don't want to come out of their dream. Because it's more fun. They say dream is better. Once Mullah Nasruddin, he was dreaming, and then his friend, I think I must have told you this, his friend came to him and said that, oh, I took the 500 rupees from you, I am returning it. He said, you took 1,000 and you are giving me 500, you give me 1,000. And when he was arguing, he woke up. Then he told his wife what a stupid thing I did. I should have taken that 500 rupees. So one lives in a dream world. Even in this world, people live in their imaginary world. First of all, we put so much of a mask on our own personality. I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am so and so, I am this and that. So that persona is there. So we have to, in order to understand the self, this persona, this outer mask should go first. Then the body, all these pancha koshas. But before we come to pancha koshas, so many other koshas are there, which are very difficult to drop. People will rather die than give up some of their attachments. Some image about themselves. We then hold on to that image. Then we also have image about others. So my image interacts with the other person's image. Even real interaction is not there. So after overcoming all these obstacles, one who gains self-knowledge and meditates and gains that state of realization, experience that turiya avastha, that nirvikalpa samadhi avastha, such a person is called a jivan mukta. Such a person, even dukkhena gurunapi na vichalyate, doesn't get disturbed. So this is the great, grand goal which we have to reach, attain. Therefore, Bhagavan says in the next verse, Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga Viyogam yoga samnitam Sanishchayena yoktavyah Yogo nirvinna chetasa Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga Viyogam yoga samnitam Sanishchayena yoktavyah yogo nirvinna chetas. Bhagavan says that this yoga, this is called yoga. What he has explained here is the dhyana yoga. So this is the culmination of all our sadhana.